friends, welcome back, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Stacy and I am the chapter Conundrum. And if you couldn't tell from what I'm wearing and the title and timing of this video, I am Canadian. And I thought, what better way to celebrate Canada Day, which is our equivalent of Independence Day or the 4th, by talking to you guys about 10 SFF authors that are also Canadian that I've either read from and enjoyed or that I want to read from. So without further ado, let's hop on into it. So the first author that I want to talk to you guys about is Evan Winter, and he's writing the Burning series. So he's already put out The Rage of Dragons and The Fires of Vengeance, and he's coming out soon with The Lord of Demons. Plus, I know there's going to be a 4th book planned in the series at some point. I have read both The Rage of Dragons and The Fires of Vengeance and enjoyed them both. They were both 4-star reads for me. I do think that this is a series that is polarizing based on the main character. He's very one-note, focused on revenge, kind of has blinders on when it comes to other things, which can get annoying for some readers, but I didn't mind it and I really enjoyed the books. I'm really looking forward to the release of book 3, The Lord of Demons, because I think it's going to delve more into the lore behind the world based on the title and a few things I know from already having read the first 2 books. So I'm excited for that. Next up, I want to mention Fonda Lee, and she is the author of the Green Bone Saga, so Jade City, Jade War, and Jade Legacy, as well as Untethered Sky, and I think she has something new that's been announced, but I'm not sure. If I can find something, I'll put a picture. But anyways, I have already read Jade City and Untethered Sky, and I enjoyed them both. Green Bone Saga is one that I have been majorly slacking on getting to the sequels, so at this point I need to reread book 1 so that I can dive into them and finish it out. But it was one of the earliest adult fantasies I ever read, which was fun, and it was definitely a very unique experience. The best aspect of it for me was definitely Fonda Lee's world building, and it's funny because I'm usually not into world building that much. Like, I don't really enjoy lengthy chunks of description in my books because I don't visualize while I read. But the way Fonda Lee does her world building, she gives you like sentences of details here and there, but they're so thoughtful and so masterful that you get a really good sense of the world even just with those little tidbits. So I would definitely recommend checking out Green Bone Saga if you haven't already, and let me know what you guys thought of the sequels if you've already read them. On to some more humorous type of fantasy. The next author I want to talk to you guys about is Nicholas Eames, and he has written the Band series, so Kings of the Wild and Bloody Rose. And the 3rd one is going to be coming out, I think, maybe next year. I'm not too sure on that one. Goodreads had a placeholder date of this July, but I don't think that's accurate. We still haven't gotten a cover, so I'm assuming it might be next year. We're gonna hope it's next year anyway. But if you don't know, this is a really fun fantasy quest series. It's kind of like getting the old retired gang back together again for a mission. And he weaves a lot of classical rock and Canadian references into the story, and in Bloody Rose as well. So they're just really fun reads, and I would definitely recommend them. My husband Jake adores these books as well and had a great time reading them. So we would both recommend those. Continuing on with a little bit more humorous fantasy, the next author I want to talk to you guys about is Sebastien De Castell. And he's written a lot of stuff, but the main 2 series that come to mind for me are Greatcoats and Spellslinger. And I have yet to try Spellslinger. I really want to, even though it's YA and I hardly read YA anymore. But I have tried Greatcoats and did really enjoy that. I thought the dynamic between his main characters was really fun, and I'm looking forward to getting back into this series at some point as well. It's another one where I read the first book, really enjoyed it, but slacked on getting to the sequels, and now I don't remember too much about the first book, so I need to reread to complete the series. But I'm definitely looking forward to getting there because it was a really fun time. I think if you enjoy Theft of Swords by Michael J. Sullivan, you'd probably also really enjoy Greatcoats. The dynamic of the characters and the humor just feels like it's on a similar level. On to another fantasy author with a completely different tone. The next one I want to talk to you guys about is Scott Bakker, and he wrote the Second Apocalypse universe. So this is pretty dark, dense fantasy, and I have read the first book, but I don't think I'm going to be continuing on with the series. While I really enjoy dark fantasy, the writing in this one was just too dense for me. But if you're someone who really enjoys dense writing and doesn't mind dark content, definitely pick it up and give it a go. Loads of people in the community really enjoyed this series. So the next huge name in fantasy that you probably all have heard is Steven Erikson, and he of course wrote Malazan or Malazan, however you say it. And this is a series I have yet to try, but I definitely am going to at some point. I do know going into this that I'm not going to have a lot of context for things up front. It definitely doesn't tell you things or hold your hand, and you basically are just along for the ride. So I'm expecting that sort of experience. But the main reason I still haven't gotten around to this is that I know it's going to take a lot of brain power and a lot of time for me to sit down and read these and to try and piece things together and figure out what's going on in them. So I'm a little bit intimidated, but also I just have so many other series I'm already in the middle of that I need to prioritize getting to. But I do have the first 5 of these in mass market on my shelves waiting for me when I am ready. And I anticipate having some mixed feelings, but liking it overall. I do know a lot of people really highlight the characters in this series and talk about how unique they are or how overpowered they are, so that kind of excites me and gets me thinking I'll enjoy certain aspects of the series. For the next author, if you're into really great prose, this is going to be one for you. And that, of course, is going to be Gavriel Kay. And I'm holding up Summer Tree because that's the one that my husband Jake and I own. But of course, Tagana is probably one of his most well-known books. I have yet to give him a try as well. And I really don't know a whole ton about his writing other than that he's known for great prose. So if you have read from Gavriel Kay, let me know in the comments down below whether you think I will like his books or not. But I felt like I'd be remiss if I didn't include him in this video because he's such a well-known Canadian fantasy author. So the next author I want to highlight is a local author for me, which is fun. He went to high school with my older siblings, grew up on a reserve like 20 minutes down the road, and that is Waubgeshig Rice. And he wrote Moon of the Crusted Snow and now Moon of the Turning Leaves. I thought he did an awesome job of portraying Anishinaabe culture and of portraying what life on a northern remote indigenous reserve in Canada could look like. So Moon of the Crusted Snow is a very unique story based on those elements, but it's also really special because it's not your typical formulaic post-apocalyptic story. I tend to actually gravitate away from those types of reads because they all sort of have the same plot beats, but this one is different because it's set on a northern reserve, so you definitely have different things going on, and the population is just concerned with different things, so it's great that way. I would highly recommend checking this one out if you have any interest in it. Next up, on to some sci-fi, I want to talk to you guys about Sylvain Neuvel. And he, of course, wrote the Themis Files trilogy, the first being Sleeping Giants, but he's also written some other things like The Test and No Kindness Too Soon, some great novellas there. And he's also written another trilogy that I'm blanking on the name of, but I'll put a picture here. I think it's like Take Them to the Stars or something. But anyway, I have read and really enjoyed the Sleeping Giants trilogy. I really liked book 1 and 2, and then book 3 didn't quite work that well for me. But my husband Jake would say that this is his favorite trilogy of all time. So if that's not a glowing recommendation, I don't know what is. If you do decide to pick up this series though, I would also suggest the audiobooks. They're really fun. They're told in interview format a lot of the time, and I do remember thinking the narrators did a fantastic job. And the last Canadian author I want to touch on today is one that writes young adult sci-fi, but I have read and enjoyed their book before. And that, of course, is going to be Xiran Jay Zhao. And I gave this 4 stars when I read it, had a great time. It was one of those reads that was just very addicting that I could fly through. And I'm very excited for the release of the sequel, Heavenly Tyrant, coming in December. And I think they might have another series as well. If I can find one, I'll pop it up here. But this is definitely the one that I've had experience with and enjoyed. And if you read YA, I would definitely recommend this one. So that was all the Canadian sci-fi and fantasy authors I had to talk to you guys about today. Let me know down in the comments below if you knew that these people were Canadian or not, if you've read from any of them, if you want to read from any of them, if I've convinced you to pick any of them up. Tell me all the good details down below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe on your way out if you want to. Happy Canada Day tomorrow to those of you who are going to be celebrating. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye!